Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Tiana, and in today's video I'm going to be telling you guys all about my sorority recruitment experience at the University of North Texas. So I am going to be a junior in the fall, but this happened my freshman year. So 2 years ago, I've been in a sorority for 2 years, and I went through recruitment in August of 2017. So it has been a little while, so I don't exactly remember every single detail, but I'm gonna do the best that I can to remember every single thing so that I can share it with you guys. But of course, before I get into this story, if you have not subscribed yet, be sure to go ahead and do that down below, and you can click the bell to turn on my post notifications. And lastly, don't forget to follow me on Instagram. But now that that is out of the way, we can just go ahead and get right into the story. So I did not go through formal recruitment. I went through a process called COB, which is known as continuous open bidding. So that is what my recruitment was like. And the reasons that I went through COB were because, one, I was just really nervous about moving away to school. I had a scholarship for my academics because I did really well in high school and on my SAT. And then I was also going to be in the honors college at UNT. So I really had no idea what I was going to be in for. And I was really nervous about school and the difficulty level and all of that. And if you are nervous about that, I would recommend that after this video, you watch my how to get a 4.0 in college video, because that is where I really discuss school and academics and all of that. But I was nervous for the difficulty level of college, and then I was also really nervous about the whole diversity aspect of sororities, because obviously, like, on the news there's some kind of shady stuff at some schools, and I just didn't want to really be involved in any of that drama, especially because sororities, if you did not know, cost thousands of dollars to join. So why would I want to be a part of something that was not diverse or racist or any of those types of things? I just did not want any part of that in my college experience. But UNT is a very diverse school, and you can kind of see that in all of the student organizations. But as a freshman, I really had no idea, and I was just really nervous ultimately. So that is why I did not go through formal recruitment. I actually had a roommate who was going through it, and she kind of told me that there were a lot of different ethnicities of girls going through recruitment, and she saw different races and all of that in all of the different sorority houses. So after that, I kind of knew that I had probably made the wrong decision in not signing up. All summer, I actually kind of wanted to go through recruitment, but I was nervous about it. And then my parents also told me that I should probably find out how the academic aspect of college was going to be before actually signing up for recruitment and joining a sorority and all of that. So they told me that if I wanted to do it sophomore year, I should probably do it then. But I found out that I had a lot of free time on my hands, and I was just really bored as a freshman in the beginning because I didn't really make a ton of friends right away. I just was going to class basically and then going back to my dorm and hanging out with my boyfriend, who also goes to my school. But I remember I would see my roommate come home every day from her recruitment, and she would just tell me that she enjoyed it and she saw me liking a bunch of different houses, and she would just kind of tell me how all of the days were going and that kind of thing. So I ultimately just was a little disappointed in myself for not signing up. But I remember when she started going on her big little dates and all of that, I got to go with her on one of them because the potential big invited me because they were going to go to a hockey game and also hang out at the sorority house. So she invited me, and the girl was really nice and we got along really well. And I was asking her about joining a sorority and all of that kind of thing. And she told me that even though I didn't go through formal recruitment, some sororities that still had spaces available were going to be accepting COB. So that means continuous open bidding, like I said before. And not all sororities do this, but if a chapter still has spaces available after formal recruitment ends, then they have the option of letting you in informally. So you can join informally after recruitment as a COB. And I was just kind of wanting to do that because I was just not really having that much fun. In college, I remember I only really had 2 friends besides my boyfriend, so my roommate and this other girl who lived in the same residence hall as me. She lived a couple rooms down, and those were really my only 2 friends, and that just really wasn't enough for me because I still had so much free time and I was really bored all the time. So my roommate actually helped me direct message sororities on Instagram to find out if they were accepting COBs, and her sorority was not, and at the time I really wanted to be in the same one as her just because I had met some of the girls and they were all really nice. So I messaged 3 different houses with the help of my roommate, and I remember I messaged one that did not have a sorority house, and at the time I just felt like I needed to be in a sorority that had a house because I felt like I would really want to live there at some point. And now my opinions on living in the sorority house are definitely different. I actually lived in one my sophomore year, and if you don't ever get to live in the sorority house, you're not really missing out on that much. It's not life or death, and some people actually prefer to never live in their sorority's house. So that's just a side note, but I messaged them and then I found out they didn't have a house, so I stopped messaging them. And then I messaged 2 other sororities, so let's just call them sororities 1 and 2. So at the time, I really knew that I wanted to be in sorority 2. So I wanted to be in that house because they were well known on campus. All their shirts were really cute, all their girls were really cute, and lastly, they had the nicest Instagram page that I had seen for a sorority at my school. And that was just what I felt like I wanted to be a part of, because those are all things that are really important to me. I definitely wanted cute shirts. I liked the aesthetic of their sorority, and I thought that all of the girls were really pretty. So that was definitely where I felt like I wanted to be, just because those were things that I was interested in. And I'm not like saying this to sound shallow, but really I was a freshman, so I wasn't really judging based off of any other aspects other than looks. So that was what I wanted to be in, and I messaged the other sorority just so that I could have kind of more of a recruitment experience, so that I could kind of learn about other houses and that kind of thing. So I also just wanted to mention that at my school, we don't really have tiers. I know at bigger schools, they will have top tier sororities, middle tier, and bottom or lower tier. But at UNT, our Greek life isn't really structured that way. We don't have enough people in it to really rank in that kind of way. I would say that maybe sorority 2 could be classified as top tier, but those were the only 2 houses that I was going to have COB dates with. The rest of them just were not interesting to me, or they were full. And I will say that some of the sororities that I really wanted to be in were no longer accepting members because they had already taken a full pledge class. So I planned to go on my date with sorority 1 as kind of practice for the second sorority that I actually really wanted to be in. So I had my date with sorority 1 probably on Thursday, and I had my date with sorority 2 on a Friday. So I was going to use my first date as practice so that when I went to my date with the second sorority that I wouldn't be nervous at all. So that was my plan. I watched a bunch of sorority recruitment advice videos so that I would know what to say. And since you are still going through recruitment in a way, there are still rules, so they can't promise you a bid, and you as the PNM still are not supposed to talk about certain things. So obviously don't talk about parties, boys, drinking, politics, all of this stuff that they tell you not to talk about. If you are going through COB, obviously don't talk about that. Not that I was really gonna talk about that anyway, but I just feel like if you guys are watching this for advice, just don't talk about any of that. But I remember I went on my date with sorority 1, and I wasn't really nervous at all just because I had my mind set on what I was gonna join. So I went to a bubble tea shop, or bubble tea cafe, or whatever you want to call it. I went there with 2 girls from sorority 1, and they picked me up from my dorm and they drove me there, and we just basically sat down and they got to know me. So they asked me about my major, my involvement in high school, my hobbies, my interests, all of that stuff that is discussed during formal recruitment. And then they told me a lot about their sorority and their events, their philanthropy, their sisterhood, all of that stuff. And our conversation actually went really well. They did a really great job at getting to know me and also sharing a lot about themselves so that I could feel like I was getting to know them. And I remember they also asked me why I didn't go through recruitment. So I told them that I was nervous about school, and I also wanted to join a sorority that was diverse because that was something that was important to me. And I already knew going into it that sorority 1 was really diverse. They were definitely the more diverse of the two houses that I was going to be talking to. So I felt really comfortable around them, and I went back to my dorm, and I remember I texted them. I said thank you for the date, and I don't remember what else I said, but I asked them if there was anything else that I needed to do. And the next day they asked me to send over my high school transcript so that they could have my grades on file. And I sent that over, and it just went really well. So that was my first date. And the next day, Friday, I went on a date with sorority 2, which was what I really wanted to be in at the time. So I went to Starbucks in the Union on campus with one other girl from that sorority, and I had a conversation with her. It went really well, but she didn't really discuss the same things that sorority 1 did. So mainly she talked about her sorority, and I was kind of leading the conversation more, asking questions about their philanthropy and their events and their sisterhood and all of that. And she didn't really ask me too much about myself. She still did, but I didn't really feel like I was getting to know her as well as I did with the girls from the first sorority. So I remember at the end, she told me that she was going to take me on a house tour the next week, and I was going to get to meet more of them. And I was just going to kind of come around the house and see if I would actually like it. And I remember she told me all about their dues, and she showed me like little PowerPoints and stuff, but it just wasn't as personal as my first date. So I remember leaving that and going back to my dorm and really just not knowing what to do. So I talked to my boyfriend and my parents about it, and they really wanted me to join sorority 2 because that was what my heart was set on at the beginning. That was what I thought that I really wanted. And my boyfriend just told me to go ahead and join that one as well because they were really well known on campus, and he just really wanted me to be happy because he saw that I was not happy in the beginning of freshman year. And even though it was still August and I had been going to classes for maybe 3 weeks, I just still wasn't super happy with UNT in general because I was just really bored. So he wanted me to make the best decision so that I would have a lot of friends and go to events and all of that. So I just was really torn in my decision because at the beginning I really thought that sorority 2 was the one for me and that sorority 1 was just going to be a practice date. But at the end of the day, I ended up joining the first sorority that I talked to, and this was because they offered me my bid first. So I remember the girls who were texting me asked me what dorm I lived in, and they actually showed up to my dorm and they handed me my bid card, and it was about 5 of them, I think, and they just gave me a bid and asked me if I wanted to join. So I kind of was put on the spot because I didn't know what I wanted to do yet. So I said yes because they ask you and you kind of have to say yes or no right there. And I wasn't about to tell them that I was talking to another house and I wanted to see if I could get a bid from them and then decide. So I just took the bid, and I at first was really kind of nervous. I didn't know if I had made the wrong decision, but in the end it worked out really well because ultimately you're not supposed to pick a sorority based on what the girls look like or their social media pages or their shirts. You are really supposed to join based on the connections that you make and the conversations that you have and where you feel most at home and comfortable. So ultimately I did make the right decision, but at the time, I just didn't know that because, first of all, I regretted not going through recruitment because I definitely would have been able to make probably a more informed and better decision, and then I would also have been able to choose from all of the houses at my school rather than just one or two. And I also was going back and forth between whether I picked the right house or not between the two that I was choosing from. And I will say that at the end of the day, I got to know girls in my sorority and I made a lot of friends. At first, I didn't make a lot of friends just because there were only 2 other girls who were COBs. The rest of the pledge class already knew each other, and it was a little bit hard kind of coming in from the outside and making friends. But what I will say is that whenever you accept a bid from a sorority, you definitely need to be sure that that is what you want to join, because if you accept a bid and then later you drop out of the pledging process, it looks really bad and you just kind of can't go through formal recruitment or try to COB with another house because they've already seen that you accepted a bid and then you dropped out. So it kind of shows that you are not able to commit, and it's just so much harder to join a different sorority after already kind of doing that. And you're probably not going to get another bid from another house if that happens, unless there's some kind of special circumstance. So I just recommend that you guys really take it seriously, because at the end of the day, you are going to be joining this and paying thousands of dollars. So you want to make sure that it is the one that you want to be in. And that's basically the entire story. So I made a lot of friends and now I'm really happy with my decision, even though back then I was really unsure. And I'm in Kappa Delta now. That's the sorority that I'm in, and I do enjoy it. I obviously don't enjoy it all the time, but most of the time it is a lot of fun. So that is my full recruitment experience. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. And of course, if you did, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff down below. And I will see you guys all next time.